It's Friday, and it's time for our agile, not so agile episode of the Daily Stand Up Podcast. And I have a topic that's been on my mind, so let's do it. This week, or over the past couple of weeks, we've been talking a lot about the work environment, how it's changed in 2024, and how lots of things have changed. Going into 2025, I was reading an article that someone published, and they were whining about why the return to office isn't working. And they go through and display and call out all of these reports and studies and talk about how people aren't as happy going back to the office and how it's not working and how you're losing your best people and how it's breaking people's spirits. Here's a secret: returning back to the office isn't the problem. The problem is the honeymoon is over. Let me explain. The problem is that people for so long have gotten used to working at home. During the pandemic, it was one thing. Anyone could work from home, and it was totally acceptable. And jobs were designed so it was easier for you to work from home, and the work was set up in such a way, and your meetings were set up in such a way, and everything was designed, and people were riding this high because they were just so pleased that that everybody in the world didn't lose their jobs, and that companies were still able to function with their employees at home. And the truth is, people went out of their way to do a better job in many cases because they didn't want this work from home mentality or this work from home opportunity to go away. Now, the problem comes in when you recognize that people started to become relaxed and lazy. In the words of Elon Musk, he said the honeymoon period's over. And what that means is people for a long time said, yeah, this is perfect. I can work from home and I'm going to do my best. But then people said, well, I have to take my dog for a walk, or I have to go run my kids to carpool, or I have a quick doctor's appointment, or I can run my wife over to the store real quick, or I'm going to run and grab Costco for lunch, or whatever the case may be, right? And it just came in as very, how should I put it? Non authentic, not good. And it started to distract people and push people in a direction where they did not do their work efficiently, effectively. People are just starting to slack. That's all there is to it, right? People just started to slack. And it's one of those things where if people keep slacking, people are going to notice, and people are starting to context switch. And when people start context switching and people start not doing their jobs and people start reacting differently, they are in a distracted state. Many people call this, context switching, I guess the best way to put it. And the more distracted you are, the worse it is, right? So I'm going to say that again. The more distracted you are, the worse it is. And I have seen so many people get distracted so easy. And in this case, it's one of those things where how do we end up in a place where how do we end up in a place where we cannot be distracted at home and set core working hours and really get stuff done, as opposed to constantly being interrupted, not having core work hours, and just always being on the bleh, right? So with that being said, um, the solution or the secret to this is to do three things. So if people want to continue this work from home madness, right, they need to, number one, get serious about setting core office hours and stick to them. They can't say, okay, I'm going to set core office hours and then not live up to what they said. They can't do that, right? If they set core office hours, they can't let anything distract what's going on, right? They just can't do it. They can't let things distract what's going on. They have to stay focused. They have to remain in the zone. And they have to set a list of items or objectives that they hope to get done that day and not stop until they get them done. This is kind of like the homeschool principle. If your kids are homeschooled, they can usually do what a regular kid does in a regular 9 or 10 hour day in 2 hours. So it's just, you got to set those core activities. You got to lock down the time that you're going to do it and get your stuff done, right? Then there's number two. Make sure that once you set your commitments and you're good to go and you've eliminated your distractions, make sure that as an individual that you are optimizing the time that you spend in meetings. And what I mean by that is If it's an online meeting and you have to be there, be there. But if you don't have to be there, don't. Or if you do have to be there, only be there for a short enough time to get what you need and leave. And this will help you reduce the amount of time you're spending in meetings and reduce the amount of fatigue you have with Zoom or other online tools. It's going to help you not get micromanaged. Find a way to create visual dashboards that show what you're getting done. Don't fall into the trap of micromanagement, right? That's number two. And then number three, once you got all that down, then it's time for you to regulate or adjust your work week. And this is what's going to happen in a real world. So I hear people complaining, but I'm working on this all day. It's something that used to only take me 2 hours, but now it takes me 12. And I'm working at 9:30 at night and 10:30 at night. And it's ridiculous. I'm spending all day in Zoom. Well, you know why? Because you're not doing what you said you were going to do. You're getting easily distracted. You're taking something that should only take a short amount of time and stretching it out, and you're just not meeting the expectations of leadership, and they want to know why. And that's what all the meetings are about. So it's just, if you can get back to the basics, then what I believe will happen over time is return to the office, by the way, is working. The organizations that have been going back to the office are getting things done. They're getting work done. People are excited to be around peers, and work is happening. Companies wouldn't be doing it if work wasn't happening. And not every company gave up all their physical locations, right? So you can't go there and say, oh, it's going to cost this much more. They're going to operate a physical location anyway, right? So the question then becomes, how often should they be in the office versus out of the office? In an ideal world, we would have more like a 4-day work week instead of a 5-day work week, which I think would be great. And notice I didn't say 4 10s. I think 4 8s or 3 10s and an 8 or whatever you want to do is going to work way better than a 5-day work week. And I think the other piece of this that's going to send it home, get this. I want you to do 2 or 3 days in the office. Maybe you do Tuesday, Wednesday, or Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday in the office, and then you do Thursday from home to tie up any loose ends. Your productivity on Thursday isn't expected to be through the roof, but that way you can complete things, wrap things up, and if you have things you have to take care of where you have to have balance and you can be home on Thursday, that's great. And then you get a nice stretch of a 3-day weekend every single week, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I think that's the ideal solution for most jobs and for most cases. Now, of course, there's healthcare workers and other people where schedules would have to shift and balance, and I get it. But the point I'm trying to make is I think we need to realign the way we think about work. We need to use things like AI and other tools to optimize how we do our work and to get rid of mundane tasks. And we need to get back on track with staying focused and getting work done. That's going to do it. And I think that is going to kind of answer the questions. And I didn't go into a whole lot of detail in this article because I read it ahead of time. And I can tell you that they offer some statistics from some fly-by-night surveys or fly-by-night polls. And I really didn't have a lot of credence or credibility in the polls. And I didn't feel like it was just an effective way to go. So I wanted to remain positive on this Friday. I hope that you have an amazing weekend. And until next week, stay healthy, stay agile, and stay well, my friends. Do take care. Bye now.